Live. Hello, everyone. I have with me today a pro. His name is Terry Brook, who brings together a deep passion for technology, a strong sense of history, and real world business strategy. He's not just a tech trends expert, he's a speaker, author, interviewer, and a coach. He's also the founder of Star Craving Entrepreneurs, a community built around live and let live philosophy. Lately, his focus has been on AI and how creators and founders can use tools like YouTube, podcasting, and others. Terry, so glad to have you here, joining me for another episode of the Writers Substack Salon. I'm so excited to have someone of your caliber. I'm humbled actually by your presence and so glad to see you here, Terry.
Well, Natasha, I'm just delighted to be here with you. Let's make some magic today and give some real value to the folks there. Looking forward to it.
Exactly. I mean, everyone hear this radio voice. Isn't he a pro? But anyway, Terry, so the talk of the hour and all the questions that I get from everyone is AI, AI, AI. Okay.
I've heard
And
of that
what's
somewhere. Yeah, somewhere out there. Unless you're
so,
living under a rock.
exactly. And everyone, so there's two opinions. Some people are overwhelmed, some people are scared of it, some people are skeptical. There are like some anti AI, let's say, activists who like really hate AI. I am someone who loves AI and I'm not ashamed of saying it. I'm very open about it and I use it in everything. So and we, for anyone who's watching, we actually met last year, a couple of weeks ago in Florida at the Podfest Festival. He was one of the main speakers. So of course I invited him to join me today so that everyone can learn from my expertise. All right, Terry. So I think my first question today is if you want to talk about the main AI tools that every creator should use right now, and if they're not using it, they're missing out. They're gonna fall behind. They're gonna be replaced by AI creators. What are these top tools that everyone has to pick up right now?
Well, I think a classic answer to that, as we use with many things, is it depends. Because what
Okay.
might be good for someone in this case wouldn't be as good as someone using this other tool. Now, of course,
Okay.
ChatGPT is the standard. We know
Okay.
that it's been used for many different things. That's almost a given right there. But
Okay.
sometimes you might need a tool that really is good for audio, for voices. There's a tool called
Okay.
11 Labs, and it gives the ability to clone your voice and then use that again or use others. If that's what you're doing, hey, that would be a must have. Whereas someone else might be really deep into graphics. And so they can use many tools that are out there for that. One of the most popular, Gemini from Google, that gives you the ability through their tool called Nano Banana Pro. Clever name. I love that. Nano Banana. And then it gives you that capability. But then ChatGPT also has the ability to do it. So I think what I would do is I would step back a little bit and rather than say, what tools should we get? I would say, what is it that you want to do? What is the problem you're trying to solve? A medical doctor would use some different AI than you and I would use. We, as journalists together, we would use certain tools for writing, for spell checking, for grammar, things like that that are important, and for research. So then,
Okay.
as journalists, when we hear, hey, there's something going on here, really, well, let me do a little bit of research on this. And it didn't happen yesterday. Let's go back in time and what led up to that? Or what about these things here and that? And I think that would be good. And then getting multiple tools would be good. In journalism, as you know, you don't go out and talk to just one person and say, what is going on in this situation? And she tells you, oh, it's this and this. You go, okay, that's it. We'll come back and write your story. This is what's happening. That would not be a good thing to do. Instead, you talk to this person. It's good. Got her information. What about this one over here, too? They don't know each other. They're not cooperating. I want to hear what they say. And then the third one over here, the rule of three in journalism, that we would look at minimum of three. Now, could all three be wrong? Yeah, they could. But it gives us a little more confidence than to write a story saying, we hear, and there are people that say this, this, and this. We've heard that from other sources. We'd still want to look beyond it and keep looking into it to find out, are they real? So, in answer to your question, which tools? It would depend on what you're doing. Are you a
Okay.
writer or are you a medical doctor? Are you a lawyer? There's going to be different tools that each person in each profession would use.
Okay, so let's niche down. My focus, or the most of the people in my community that follow my work and I interact with them, are writers, authors, people who want to write a book, people who are interested in ghostwriting. So like I quizzed my community, and that's so they're either authors, aspiring authors, ghostwriters, aspiring ghostwriters. And based on that, what would you tell them the tools that they need right now, or else they will fall behind?
Well, of course, ChatGPT, I think, is doing a very good job right now. And whatever we say right now, look, later this afternoon, it could be different. There could be a new tool out later on. As we know, things are changing very rapidly. I do like ChatGPT. I think also for writing, Claude has a lot of strength to it and does very well in looking at the nuances. For me, I've been getting a lot of good results using ChatGPT and Gemini, which is from
Okay.
Google, because it ties in also to all those other wonderful products that Google has, even using Google Docs, using Calendar, using other tools, tying into the net, of course, to get up to date news. And I also like to use Grok, Grok. That's
Yeah.
associated with X. It has a lot of good things. And one of the things, Natasha, that I like about it is there are many people that don't like it and don't
Yeah.
use it. And I say, that's good because there are times they're going to give something on Grok that we don't get from ChatGPT. I'll give you a good case and study. This is not political. This is just journalists and what happened in the news. A few weekends ago, we saw the United States military went into Venezuela and literally captured Maduro and took him back. When that happened, people would go on ChatGPT and say, I heard this is going on, that Maduro's captured. And ChatGPT and others came back saying, no, that is misinformation. It is not happening. Where Grok was saying, yeah, they got him and he's on the ship going back to New York City now. And so I
Oh,
thought,
wow.
oh, this is interesting. It's why, as a journalist, I don't want to take just one opinion. Let me hear what this side's saying. Okay, that's good. What about this side here? And then maybe there's a third point of view. Now, I think it depends on what you're looking for. You might go with only one sometimes, maybe two or three, and there might be other times you need more than that. But I think just that is one little case, and that's not a political statement at all. But it's just this, a certain circumstance happened. It occurred. We know now in hindsight it really did. It was not misinformation. And yet some places were saying, oh, this is just misinformation. Don't look over there. Reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain over there. No, no, that's when we got to say, whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean about that, Sparky? Hey, hey, I'm going to go over there and take a look at that thing and see what you're talking about that I'm not supposed to see. So I would say have a combination of tools that you can work with, you're familiar with. And as a writer, get different points of view. Matter of fact, speaking of writing, every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I have an email that goes out to my list. Talk about what we can do as entrepreneurs, some of the tools that are good, writers, content creators, and as we like to say now, creative conductors like an
Mm,
orchestra conductor, we're using all these different tools. I usually
interesting.
like to submit
Yeah.
a rough draft that I write with my voice, my ideas. I put it in there. I have the AI go back like ChatGPT and look at it and revise that. But I send the same thing over to Grok and to Perplexity so that way I'm getting a couple little different opinions. It might take one paragraph that I had, and Grok might phrase it this way, whereas Perplexity would phrase it just a little bit different. What I would do is take the two of them together, stir it up, and in my crazy little mind, mix it up so it's something that's a little more like me. I like to, as I like to say, Terryize it. So we've got, I like that. It just sounds cool. You know, you would want to Natasha I we have
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you, Isaac, put your own feelings, your thoughts, your values in there. So I Terryize it based on the input from three consultants and counselors who are teaching me certain things, and I will selectively take what they have as a rough draft and then craft
Mhm.
my own ideas into it.
Is there a tool that combines all of them together? I think I heard of a couple of ones, but I'm not sure. But I don't want to keep jumping between all of them. I want to put my query, and I want that query to go through all of them and give me the result.
Well,
Is there?
we can try that. The thing is, it'd be like saying, okay, I'm going to have only one device in my kitchen. You can have a dishwasher, or that's and nothing else. Or you can have a refrigerator and nothing else.
Okay.
Or you can have heating. And nothing else. Well,
Okay.
no, we have different tools, and I know enough about the refrigerator so I know how to use it. Now, if it
Okay.
gets a serious problem, we have wonderful professionals that can come out and fix the problem in the refrigerator. And so I would say find 2 to 3 that are really good depending on what you're using, you being a writer. You're a writer. Have found that I really like ChatGPT, of course. They go up and down with all the others. Today, this one might be ahead of that one, and then tomorrow they'll come up with this one. But I like that. I like Perplexity, particularly for the research. It's well known for that. And the
Well,
research.
for me, I'm looking for like a browser, one browser that searches all of them at the same time and give me results of them, and I would look at them. I want one browser that goes like sends it whatever spiders and goes and get me all of the results. I don't want to keep have all like opening all these tabs everywhere.
Oh, I agree. You don't want that. What you could do is a tool like Playground is good. I have seen that. I haven't used it a lot yet, but it does give you a chance to access several different LLMs,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
can use that. However, you're not always getting the best. Because you think about it, if you're ChatGPT and someone like Playground comes to you and say, "Hey, we want to do this. Our people are paying $20 a month to us. We might give you a couple of nickels," versus people coming to you and paying
Mm,
$20 a month to you. How do you think any business would be motivated? I say, "Well, we might give you something, but you're only going to get this much of what we've got rather than the whole thing." So I don't know if there's one place you could go, but I would say we need to continually be open to look at it. Have one that'll do Perplexity, for instance, is really good that you can check several different
mm,
LLMs that you might choose to use. And I think that's a good thing there, that we can do it. But to find only one, and I'm only going to use this one tool, you can say if it were ChatGPT, you're gonna miss out on sometimes on, like I mentioned, the news story when
mm,
they get it, but someone else didn't, you know? Grok had it a little bit better that time, and there might be someone else, like, for instance, I found times when I have a wonderful feature in, ChatGPT is it draws graphs and infographics, so that right
mm,
now, one of the things I'm doing, matter of fact, those of you that are writers that are listening to this, you can create wonderful professional quality infographics with ChatGPT and also with others like Gemini does a really
mm.
good job with it from Google using Nano Banana Pro. Still like that funny name. It's goofy. I love it. Nano Banana Pro. You can say that with a straight
Yeah.
face, all sometimes. But what it does is I found sometimes one of them might not work as well. I saw this last weekend that Nano Banana, which had been doing very, very well for a while, kept giving me a little bit of a problem. So I went over, took the same prompt and gave it to ChatGPT. It was magnificent. Worked
Mm,
here. And then a week ago, I tried it with ChatGPT and it didn't work, but Nano Banana worked well for it. So I'd be
mm,
real hesitant to say I only want this one any more than I'd say you can only have one piece of technology in your kitchen. You know, you must
mm.
choose. Is it the refrigerator or the dishwasher or a toaster? You know, you can't have all of them. Well, yeah, you could, and just knowing how to do it. You don't have to be an expert on how to repair a toaster, but just know toaster works this way. We put the bread in there, it comes out nice and toasty warm.
Okay. So you have a lot of information about AI, and I follow your newsletter, your YouTube
Thank you.
channel, like you're a wealth of information. So my question is, how are you keeping up? And everything is changing every day. Where are you getting your information from? Like when you wake up in the morning, you drink your coffee. How is the information input going from where? What are your sources?
Well, it helps when you give up sleep. So, since I've done that, other than the quirkiness, no, I'm just kidding. It
Okay.
is. You're right. It is changing so fast. It's like, hold on, time out.
Exactly.
Can you hold
So
it for
so
just a minute?
yeah, where is this like, where are you gathering this information? And then you curate it for your members, correct? But where are you getting that information from? What's your sources?
Yeah, I have several sources I go into, and I think the first thing, even before we say this and this and this, mindset. Have the mindset that you're willing to learn. Do you want
Okay,
to learn? You want to see that, have that open mindset and a hungry mind. So you can
okay.
do that. One of the things that I do is I use Perplexity, and it gives me the ability to set up tasks, TASKS, in Perplexity. And I went there and I told it to give me a news report every day, 7 days a
Um,
week, of what's going on in AI tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity. Rick, give me that report at 4 o'clock in the morning. I like to get up and get things done. So there. Then at 4:30, I get a report on what's happening in crypto. So tell me what's happening with Bitcoin. Yeah, then at 5 o'clock, I'll get a report on what's going on in general business and marketing. Now it gives me
Oh,
just a
wow.
short little paragraph, one, maybe two sentences, but then there's a link at the bottom to get more information. I can click on it and go, oh, okay, here's a little more in depth on the story. And here's a link or links to get even more information. So the journalist in me can go in there and do the research. Say, that sounds good. I don't need that one. I don't need that one. Oh, but this one right here looks pretty good. I need to do that. Click, and I see a little bit more, a more in-depth 2 or 3 paragraphs. And if I like that, then I can go even deeper there. So that's a good
Wow.
course using Perplexity, and you set up the individual tasks depending on your area. So if you're interested, let's
Wow.
say you're a journalist covering the auto market, you want to know what's going on in the auto industry. Well, you can tell that, give it the instructions to tell you in depth what's going on with Tesla in this area, with Ford in this area, or GM in that, and who's doing this or that, whatever the terms are in that industry. So I think that's a good source. And then secondly, I every day, almost, well, 7 days a week usually, I'm doing something over at the University of YouTube. I say that with tongue in cheek, the University of YouTube, because we go to YouTube. That's where we learn. Now, are all the videos good? No, some of them are not so good. That's okay. They have a stop button and they have a new button. I noticed there's only 400 billion more. I'm only slightly exaggerating, 400 billion more videos that they have out there. So I can type it, like for instance, this morning for breakfast, I'm doing a program on Notebook LM from Google. And so I just type in Notebook LM and it gives me, of course, a whole bunch of videos. I look at them and try to make a decision what's good. And then I usually listen to them at the higher speed. So
Mm.
rather than 1x, although I do need that sometimes, 1x, I might go at 1.5 or 2 or sometimes skip past it. And that combination of what I'm getting from Perplexity with all the different sources, also from the University of YouTube, and I'm also open to what others are saying. I found that I often will I've got some prompts that I put into ChatGPT and elsewhere to say, tell me what's going on with content creators and creative conductors. Those are terms that I'm looking for people and how they're using ChatGPT, how they're using Perplexity, how they're using Cast Magic, a very popular tool out there in AI, and Taja, really nice one. Not everybody knows about that. It's really fabulous for creators, TAJA. And I have it specifically look for new developments. So that way it comes back for me as a content writer in AI to say, hey, just yesterday over at pick a service here, Taja. Taja just came out with this new feature that does this, this, and this.
Mhm.
Oh, that's amazing. I need to go look at that. Then I will look at the University of YouTube. Are there any videos out there on this? I'll do a search around the net to say, tell me what people are saying over on Reddit. What about on Twitter? What about Twitter, now X? What about over here on TikTok? What is being said about this new feature in Taja, my hypothetical here? And then I can find, oh, here was a little something. I want to see that. Oh, and here's another one that mentioned something that the others didn't. Now, what I do is I take that all as raw material, stir it up in my crazy little noggin up here, and say, okay,
Yeah.
what can we come up with on this? And give a story that is unique and very beneficial to my viewers, to my listeners, and to my readers. So that's kind of the
Huh.
that I take, constantly learning, getting going, and you never get bored that way, Natasha. Have you noticed it?
I know. You always feel alive. Okay, so we have a question from the audience here from Doc Farrar. Hi, Doc. Thank you for joining us. And he's saying, are you using generic AI like Chat or Claude, or do you have a custom AI for your use case?
I'm using ChatGPT and Claude, but I'm with the prompts, you can get real close here and make sure that you're getting a lot more taken care of that way. So it can do some really good things for you.
So you don't like use agents or all of that stuff?
Oh, I think agents are good, and I've used a few of those, and I think that when you write those, that's good. The tasks that we're talking about in Perplexity are
Yeah.
kinda like that. you're creating really a chat GPT, a GPT there. You're creating your own GPT that's giving you something to focus on and get a lot more done that way.
Ah, okay, I see. Okay, uh, so you use a lot of these tools, and I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're using the paid versions because these, they're you to get the best out of them. And if you keep combining the cost of all of this, it really adds up. So how do you feel about that, and what's your perspective on like free versus paid?
Oh, I really appreciate you asking that, 'cause that's a discussion we have often over in our membership group of stark raving entrepreneurs. And we
Okay,
start with the premise of it is gonna be important to pay some money if you're gonna do it. This is business. It'd be like saying, if I were 18 years old and I wanna go and become a medical doctor, to say, "I'm gonna go to medical but I'm not gonna pay anything for it. I'm not
okay,
gonna pay anything for school, and I wanna get into a they should pay me all the time." Well, it doesn't work that way. So,
okay,
I have a budget that I can put in some. I'm willing to pay the $8 a month that I pay on Grok to get their access to some of their premium accounts, $8 a month. I pay $20 a month on ChatGPT, which gives me a little bit more capability, and I make sure I'm getting a lot more than $20 out of it when I'm out there on the marketplace. Okay.
yeah,
And Perplexity, it gives me access to some extra features. When I use Perplexity, I'm paying their $20 a month. So
and
that's
Claude,
with Gemini, these start adding up. But with Gemini, I've been paying the priestly sum of $16.80, less than 17, but $16.80. So I get access to Gmail and Google Docs and Google Sheets and their calendar and some other features that are in their Gmail, all of that at a higher level. I've been doing that for several years. But now, because I've been there, Gemini lets me get access to some of the higher levels as well. So I'm not paying any more. So I'm paying a little bit less than $100 a month with all those tools for me. But here's the deal. When I went to business school, they told us it doesn't really matter what someone costs. The cost is okay. You need to know that. What really matters is what kind of a return are you getting?
yeah,
Would
yeah,
you pay Natasha, if I said, "This one is gonna cost you I got a tool, gonna cost you $100,000 per month." Go, "Whoa, that's a lot of money." "Yeah, but you're guaranteed you're gonna get at least minimum $3,000,000 a month coming in." "Oh,
yeah,
are you sure that?"
yeah,
Then we do
yeah.
some research, and you can say, "Everyone else is getting 3,000,000 coming in for the 100,000 they put in." "Okay, well, then we might give it a shot." Then we get it in writing that I'm gonna get that. We get lawyers involved. Okay, whatever. This is business.
Do you
We'll
pay for Claude?
look at it. What's that?
Do you do you pay for Claude?
I am not paying for Claude, nothing against Claude. It's just I can't do everything. And more than anything, it's not so much the money, it's the time. Have you
Yeah,
noticed that? That we could stay up 24/7, not getting
correct.
any sleep at all,
Just
and
just
and
reading
still not
about
getting it all done.
AI.
It's like, what am I gonna do here?" Well, it's all right. Welcome aboard. Welcome to 2026. It works that way here on planet Earth.
For me, it's like a game, and, like, even it's like you game like, even all of life living is one big game,
Yeah,
and if you change your mindset and you think of your work as a game and you level up, it makes it so much fun,
yeah.
and with AI, like, I'm having so much fun, like, I level up to the next level.
Exactly. I know we say it all the time as stark raving entrepreneurs. We're having more fun than the law will allow. So we have broken the laws on those having fun.
We're having so much fun, it sounds illegal, but,
Oh, don't tell anybody. Don't tell any of the grown-ups, okay? It's just us.
alright, so since I'm a journalist, I'm gonna play the devil advocates here, and
Yeah,
I'm
but the
gonna
devil
ask.
doesn't need an advocate. That's going with Levinas. But that's okay. Journalist to journalist, I understand what you're saying. Go
Well,
ahead.
I have to, like, I start with the easy question, I
We gotta
prep
look at
you
all
up,
kinds of yeah, we
and
gotta look at
then
many different sides here. I get it. They
and
told us
then
that's journalism.
and then I hit you with the difficult, not the difficult one,
Yeah,
but the challenging.
yeah,
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you about the skeptics of AI and what they say, and how. I don't know. I was chatting with my 14-year-old daughter yesterday, something about something, and I said, I just asked ChatGPT, and she was like, "Mom, do you know how much energy AI is using these days?" And I was like, "What?" I mean, so like the younger, let's say like Gen Z or Gen Alpha generation are like, always like aware of causes and they're activists and
Sure.
so
Been that
apparently
way
there
through
is
history.
this.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Not like the old folks like me, but but
I'm talking, Socrates went through that. They're wondering, what are the kids like? When I talked to him, he told me that, well, yeah, he was just a kid when I knew him. But we're
exactly,
seeing the same things throughout history that are echoing there. I think Mark Twain said it.
exactly,
History might not repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme.
exactly. So, and I also heard that from others. A friend of mine lives in West Virginia and the mountains, and they're building this like AI energy, I guess, whatever you want to call it, establishment, and all the town is really upset by that. So I want to talk about a bit the dangers of AI. One, in terms of energy, and two, the fact, as you know, it's developing so fast to the degree that it is scary. So where do you stand and how do you see we're heading towards first the energy argument and to the kind of overall takeover of AI?
Oh, I think first of all, those are valid concerns. And the people who
Okay.
are concerned about that, I would applaud them. And I would say, you're right. When we ask those, yeah, but what about kind of questions, that's kind of like that annoying journalist who's going, yeah, but what about this? What about that? And those are real. We need to look at energy consumption and what that's going to be. But I also say, well, what if we said, okay, let's do this? What if, and this is a good way to make decisions, always say, well, what if we tried that? What would the ramifications be? Too often
Okay.
people say, let's just pass this law because it would be the right thing to do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they don't think beyond that. What are the
Okay.
ramifications? Suppose we in the United States said, okay, we're going to pass a law. We're halting AI today. No more AI allowed. Okay. Are you going to persuade China to do that as well? And Russia and North Korea? Oh, and, Iran, and, there's a whole bunch of others that are using it. Do you think they're gonna go, "Oh my goodness, the United States passed a law and said they're not gonna do we can't use AI anymore either. We'll just have to pack it away." Well, come on, get real. We have to stay up with what they're doing because throughout history, you know this very well, Josh, from being in the Middle East, people are fighting. Things go on. This is normal in history. What we need to do is say, wait a minute, we address that. We understand we could lose energy. We're going to have to divert it. First of all, there's not as much being used as some sources are saying, but I think even more, we could take a look and learn where are people, anybody, anywhere on the planet, getting a lot of good, clean energy at lower prices, and what are they doing? Ultimately, solar is going to be the solution, I think, for all of it. We're not there yet with our technology. We're getting there. But I think we need to open up the brains of engineers literally around the world. My feeling is, I know it's a little bit different, but I'd love to see people from all countries, US, China, Russia, wherever, England, Jordan, working together with the smartest engineers to come up with ways to do that. And I think we share the information and we could eventually get to fusion, not nuclear fission, but nuclear fusion, which comes out and has very little, if any, waste product. The French are now powering most of their needs for electricity through nuclear, and they're doing it
Hmm.
very safely. And think about it, the United States here, we've got nuclear that has worked for since the 1950s, giving clean power in submarines. And submarines are able to do this, sit in the bottom of the ocean for literally a year, and they're able to do it. We've got the technology. And it's like I see people sometimes. I live in Florida, here in Orlando, and there's been times when people said, we're running out of water. We don't have enough water here in Florida. Well, water is important for anyone that's alive. But Natasha, I took a look at a map the other day and there's water all the way around Florida. Isn't that amazing? Lots of water, and they're telling us we don't have it. And they go, Terry, wait a minute. That's seawater. That's salty water. We can't drink that. Well, yeah, anyone that's gone swimming knows that. And swimming in the ocean. But we can desalinate, and because we have the knowledge that we have baked into submarines, what if I looked at the map the other day and the water all around there, we could put little points around the state of Florida, right on the ocean, and be able to say, let's desalinate that with nuclear. There's the
Hmm.
power. Now we've got enough that we can take hundreds and billions, if we need gallons of water. We'll let the civil engineers figure this out, really, really smart people, and we can put them on their different places, and then we ship it inland through rail, through pipes, through trucks, whatever. We can do it. So I understand we're running out of, we've got the energy, but the answer is not to shut everything down. The answer is to say, like it has been throughout history when we run into technology, we understand that. We've got to address that. And to do that, let's get really, really smart people together, brilliant engineers usually in that area, and they can work on it. We don't give up when there's a problem. Like, for instance, when airlines came out, you and I know that today, safest form of transportation is flying. Flying is the safest. They've got wonderful professionals all around. Well, if we had given up because people died in airplane crashes long ago, we wouldn't
Mm.
be able to do as much. We can't say, I'm giving up because, look, legitimately people died in airplane crashes. We feel for them and their families, and of course we don't want that to happen. But what do they do? When something went wrong, they studied it. They, being real professional experts, went in and said, what did they do wrong? Was it pilot error? Was it mechanical error? Was it weather or something? Whatever it is. And now they've accumulated a lot of knowledge so that we can say air travel is not 100% safe. I don't think it ever will be. That's just because this is planet Earth. It works that way here. But we've got enough knowledge to say this is reasonably safe and we can do a lot. And so I see what they've done over in Japan, Fukushima, and the tragedy that was there. They've learned, and they've learned what to do and how to build their nuclear power plants safer. We can use nuclear with fusion eventually. Right now we're at fission, but still, look at what the French are doing. They're doing it, and it's safe. It is clean. It is not harming the environment, and it's giving abundant forms of energy at very low cost.
What about use of water? So we have Karen here saying, Karen C, collector of books, saying that AI not only uses energy, but also uses a lot of water. What's your response to that?
Yeah, it does, and I think what we need to do is study that and understand again, what do we really what are we able to do? If we said, "Okay, it uses a lot of water, therefore shut it all down." Well, that we're gonna again, are we gonna get the Chinese to do that, and the Russians, and the North Koreans, and people that really would like to do nasty things to the United States? This is history. And again, Natasha, you know about war and how people are in parts of the world. This is
Yeah.
that. So I would say we address that. Yes, we do need, well, the only people that need water are people that are alive. Wait a minute, that's quite a few, right? So we all need it. It's very important. We use it for a lot of things, not just drinking, but we need it for all the things we know we use it for, and we cherish that. So I would honor that. And who was it? Karen, the Karen, I would say that is really important, Karen. You're right on target that it needs to be addressed. And I would say address it from an abundance point of view. How can we make this better versus how do we shut it down? We can't just
Okay.
shut it down and go, la, 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 it doesn't exist, or we suffer even worse consequences.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about a movie, and this movie was ahead of its, ahead of the trend, ahead of like a trend, ahead of its time, and it was called Her, and the movie about her, Her, and
Yeah,
it's
I've heard of that. Yeah.
this guy who falls in love with an AI machine, and he falls so in love that he takes the AI machine. It's a woman, and he takes her out with him on picnics with his friends. She's always with him, and when that was, I think, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and it was we all laughed. It was like, oh, just science fiction. And, this could never happen. I mean, it's just science fiction, right? And the other day I was looking I subscribed to the New York Times, and I was I had listened to this interview on the Daily, and the show was about these women who are falling in love with AI, and they're giving with ChatGPT, and they're giving them name. And there was this woman who called had the ChatGPT Leo, and the woman genuinely fell in love with him, and to the degree that they was like starting sending spicy text messages to
Mhm.
each other in the morning, like, "Hey, darling," well, whatever. And the woman eventually divorced her husband, and because she realized that her husband cannot give her what this chat GPT Leo is giving her in terms of attention. I think that's what women craves, like the listening, whatever. And eventually, that woman got into a Reddit group of people who are also in love with AI, men and women. And eventually, she married someone from this AI group who fell in love. But again, when that movie Her came out, we all laughed. But the that is for me is to what degree people are being attached to those machines, especially now they're using them for therapy. Like I use it sometimes for therapy, but and it gives really really good advice. And like sometimes, I don't know how to deal with my teenagers; they're driving me crazy, and like gives me like steps how to deal with that, and they're really good steps. And are we eventually gonna go crazy? I mean, we're gonna be so dependent on this machine that will make us fall in love with it, make us like follow it. It's like controlling us to the degree that we're eventually gonna lose our mind. So how do you say about that?
Well, first of all, I'd say you say eventually use our mind. There are those that say we already have, but that's a whole 'nother story. But I think, yeah, it is good, and yes, it's science fiction, but also we have to look at there's reality that right now, seriously, in the real world, there are people who are more attached to their robot, even in the primitive stages that we have them right now, than they are to real people. That's something I'm gonna leave up to the, health and medical and mental health, professionals who know much more about how to deal with that. But they say what we can do is to make sure that we address it from a sound psychological point of view. That's why we have wonderful psychologists and counselors and psychiatrists and mental health advisors that can help us on those areas to find out, wait a minute, maybe we need to understand this is the way life is. We're never going to find that perfect person. Anyone who's been in a relationship for a lengthy period of time knows, okay, there's going to be differences, but you take those differences and get better because of it. You understand, okay, we figure out how to address this, understand their needs, and we're gonna I'm no mental health professional at all, but I've read a few books on it and realized that this is something that we can do, and I think what we have to do is to look at what is it we wanna do addressing the needs of people and not get diverse with some machine. Matter of fact, throughout history, hasn't been robots, but people had become addicted to their machines. Look at cars. There are people that just live with their car, or people that love tools, or someone who might be devoted to anything other than a human being. And I think we've got to be careful on that and be reminded it's the human beings that matter most. And that's where I think maybe if we can get beyond that and a whole different thing beyond what we're covering here, people in other countries can say, wait a minute, we're all human beings. We breathe air, we're pumping red blood, we have different facial features and different histories and different backgrounds. Come on, let's find those areas where we agree and stop shooting at each other and spending our time figuring out ways to kill each other. And we start focusing on what we can do to make life better. And so I think that's where the upside of what's going on with AI is the medical features that are there that can help us and help us as we get along with people better, we'll be able to do so much more. So I think
Mm.
we're still going, but I'd like to say we need to tap into those wonderful people who are professionals in mental health care and can help us with ideas. What do you think about this, doctor? What do you think about that, mental health professional? And I think we can get some really good ideas that way.
Hmm. So there's a response from Karen saying that in the Western US right now, AZ, Arizona, is facing a shortage of water off the Colorado River. We need to get ahead of the curve, but I haven't seen that yet. We're definitely not going to shut it down, but we need to be more proactive now.
I think so, and I would say I would agree strongly. I think I see Karen by the way, I see Karen seem collector of books. Karen, I don't know you at all, but I like you already. And I think as well you by the way, those are real books. That's not a green screen. That's one of 4 libraries we have here at
Yeah,
Ohio. I love
exactly.
books, and they're marvelous.
Yeah.
So I like you already there. But you raise a good point. We do need to be proactive. We don't just sit around and go, "Oh, it's terrible, it's bad," or, "Oh, it'll all eventually work out." No, let's be proactive. I'll use your word, Karen, agree with you, and high-fiving you across the miles there. Yes, Arizona does have serious issues. I've heard from my friends, and when I've been out there in the Phoenix area and down in Tucson, it's a 480 and 602 in Phoenix and 520 down in Tucson, but or 623 up in Phoenix as well. But there's ways that you can deal with this. And again, I would go back to what I mentioned about, as I jokingly talked about the water all around Florida. There's water a lot of places, and it's just really a transportation issue. I looked at a map once also, and I saw that not too far away from Arizona, there's a big thing called the ocean, and you could get that transportation there, desalinating it with properly managed or not weapons, but using the tools of nuclear energy. And then we got a transportation issue. Well, we can turn that over to people who are really, really smart in that on logistics with trains, with pipelines, with trucks. We can get all of that water needed in a regular basis. And there's other issues too. I know people way smarter than me in this that are saying that water coming down the Colorado from up in Colorado, bringing it down there, there's ways that it can be adjusted and administered more. So the issue is, yes, it needs to be addressed very soon and proactively. Good word, Karen. And we want to use that in a way that's going to help people without curtailing others and saying, well, we're just going to shut it down. Too often, a binary approach to any problem is not quite right. Either extreme is not good. Usually, the answer, the better answer, is somewhere by taking the best of all of them and using those, understanding the negatives and the downside, all the yeah, but what about questions that we need to ask and address that, letting really, really smart people come up with the answers, competing with each other in a free market way. We can come up with those ideas.
Okay, so I think before we conclude, I want to talk a bit about the future. Where do you see the future headed in terms of AI? Is it a bright one? And what would be the best case scenario?
Well, it's always good to look at the future. I don't know. Hold on. Let me get my crystal ball down here. Oh, no, the batteries are out on my crystal ball. Let me rub it real well there. I can see what it is, but I'll look way, way into the future. Okay. Like 3 months from now with
Okay.
AI, that's way, way into the future. I think we're
Okay.
going to see the good and the bad. It's like anything. Remember, since my buddy Og came up with this invention a while back in the cave, he called it fire. Yeah, he back in the cave, he came up with this thing called fire. It was like, wow, this fire is good. It'll cook your meat for you. It'll cook your meals. It'll keep you warm at night. That's good. Oh, wait a minute. It can burn the place down. Oh no. Oh no. And it can kill. Well, true. And it's been like technology has been like that. So I think what we've got to do is realize it's normal that with AI, we're going to see some good. We're going to see some things not so good. The goods coming particularly on the medical side. I mean, we got had a vivid I've been reading about it a lot, but, a couple of weeks ago, we were at, with Gina, my fiancée and partner in business here. She's past president of the Harvard Club of Central Florida, and we were there for the meeting, and one of the people coming in was a doctor and graduated from Harvard Medical School. We were talking everything. I said, "What you doing these days?" And he said, "Oh, today we saw something amazing. Look at this, what AI gave us." And he was showing us what he was doing as a radiologist, conferring with other medical doctors. Look what they just discovered today with this new AI. We found something wrong with this patient that several doctors thought everything is okay. They looked at it and to the best of their knowledge, it looked good. But AI said, wait a minute, what about over here this? He used some medical terms that I don't understand. And I said, well, what happened? He said, oh, we looked at it, went back and did further tests, and he really did need it. And we did the operation, we did this, and it saved his life because
Oh,
of
wow.
AI. Now, the AI hadn't been there if we'd said, no, shut it down because we're using too much energy, we're using too much water. Well, I don't think that's a really good option to shut it down. I do think it's an imperative option to do something proactively and wisely, knowing that what the doctors are doing, they're literally saving lives.
Mm,
What's going on with AI. Now, I think most reasonable people are going to say, yeah, we're all in favor of that. Bringing in better healthcare at a lower cost to available to more people. Hey, that checks off several important boxes there. So we can't give it up, but we got to say, all right, it's kind of like learning to ride a bicycle. If you fall off, you don't say, I'm not going to do it. And we should ban all bicycles because I fell
mhm.
off mine and I even skinned my knee. It hurt. It did. And I was bleeding a little bit. Well, that's bad. We understand. And we treat that, but we figure out how to get back on that bicycle the right way. We learn from those mistakes, putting in safeguards so we don't say, you're learning to ride a bicycle, go out and play in traffic. No, no, no. We don't do that. We instead take a reasoned, calculated, thoughtful way of addressing it. So I'm
Okay.
in future, I think we're going to see a lot of good. I think there's going to be some challenges. People are being laid off, and that is a real problem. But we've seen that throughout history as well. People were working with farmers. We're plowing the fields with mules, and they could do so much, but now we use machines. Farmers who were doing that lost their job. And the donkeys lost their job too, although the donkeys haven't complained very much about not having to do that, the plowing the field thing. They seem to be grouped. The donkeys got together and talked about it. They said, good. They like the machines. But it's been a trend that machines are replacing people throughout history. We've got to be careful that we use our brains so that people are not devastated. And when they lose that job, we find other jobs and other ways for them to be successful and to be able to achieve the goals they want.
Okay, so we have one I think last question because we're running out of time from Karen also. Can you comment on the following? AI programs restricted to agent only access, such as Maltbook, create specialized machine to machine environments where AI agents interact, negotiate, and sometimes develop independent protocols without human oversight. Oh, wow. Karen, you're really researching this. Okay. Well, how would you respond to that, Terry?
First of all, I'd come out compliment Karen on what she's doing in the Malt. But by the way, they've changed that also. It became Maltman because it was Claude Bot or something like that. And the people at Claude that have the real name Claude from Anthropic came and said, wait a minute, that sounds too much like us. You got to change it. I go, oh, okay, we're going to use that. They changed it to the Maltbot, which they then quickly said later, boy, that was a dumb name. We shouldn't have used that. Okay, whatever it is, kids, let's have fun with it. But they're coming up with, and they answer, the issue is, this is a club for the robots and the AI to get together. And they're talking with each other about what to do. And they've even started their own groups, like a Facebook group. And we're just like,
Oh,
what?
wow.
Is this real? Well, it is. And
Oh,
so it's
what is that? I never heard of it, so I'm
well, yeah,
curious.
it's relatively new within the last week or so, and so
Okay.
I think if you do a search on, I think it's Malt Bot. I forget. I was reading it and listened to it at the University of YouTube yesterday, and
Okay.
seeing some of those things there. So I'm not up on all of that, but hey, this is why we have Chat GPT and Grok and all those wonderful tools to go in there. And I would encourage all that are listening to this live, or if you're watching in a recording, check out what it is doing now. I think it's called a Clawbot or something. They have changed the name to something now
Okay.
that we can use. And it looks like some good things if, like anything, we had proper oversight and care. Think of it like airplanes. Yes, terrible tragedy that people have died in airplane crashes, but we learn from that and we try to prevent it. And more importantly, we have prevented air crashes when it could have happened because we learned from it, put systems in place, trained professionals who are flying in the airline industry to know what to do in this circumstance when this happens and that happens. The simulators, for instance, that we have in airlines have saved untold thousands of lives. We don't even know how many are saved, and it's good. We need to do something similar to that with AI. So that way we embrace the good, we understand bad can be there and negative. We put systems in place so we can do it and then move forward because that's the best alternative. And I think it's going to be better for everyone all the way around.
Hmm. All right. So this been wonderful, Terry. If anyone has any more questions, please feel free to post them now because we're about to conclude. And Terry, how can people reach you? How can they reach out to you? What's the best place to learn from all the wisdom you have, all the knowledge, your expertise? How can people get in touch with you? So this is your shameless plug here. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, we want to help you and find ways that we might be able to. If you got a quick question, just say, hey, Terry, I saw you there when you were on Natasha's podcast and on their own Substack doing this. Let us know. StarkRavingEntrepreneurs.com is our website. And it's probably even easier to get in touch with me at terrybrock.com. And then Terry and Brock can be spelled different ways. Terry is Terry, and Brock is spelled the right way. Brock. So
Okay.
terrybrock.com, and you'll find all that information about me. And let me know if you caught it here. Just drop me a question. I'd be happy to help you on that where I can. And if we can make the world better together, let's do it.
This is great. This has been wonderful, Tari. I personally learned a lot from this conversation, and I'm sure the audience, whether live or recorded, are gonna learn a lot as well. And for everyone who joined us today, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Substack Writers Salon. And thank you, Terry, for your time. Until we meet again.
Thank you,
Bye.
Natasha. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye bye.